coordinate plane, right? We see our x and our y-axis again. I noticed that my number line doesn't have any numbers on them. So when there are no numbers, we're just going to assume that they're counting by ones, and we'll just count the boxes in between, okay? So I've got my note up here that to find slope, we're looking at the rise over the run. And then here's what they want us to do. So they want us to find the slope, and they also want us to find what we call the letter B, or the y-intercept is another word for that. So the y-intercept, and we'll always start with this B, is asking where does this line cross the y-axis? Okay, so where does the line cross the y-axis? We want to put a point here. So this is our B. So we're going to count. What number is that? 1, 2, 3. That's a 3. So B on this graph is equal to 3. And then to find our slope, what we want to do is we want to look for another perfect point. And when I say perfect point, I'm talking about where does the line meet these corners of these boxes. So I'm starting at my B. And remember I said we want to move from left to right like we're reading. So we start at B and we move to the right until we find a point that the line crosses perfectly in the corner, okay? So then we're going to use our rise over our run. So starting at the B, we're going to count. How far did we go up to get to this point? So we went up 1. So we're going to put a 1 on the top of the fraction. And then we want to run over. How far over do we have to go to get to this dot? 1, 2 times. So we ran 2 times. So here's our slope, 1 over 2. Okay? So we'll try a couple more. Again, this just takes some practice. So here's another one. We want to find the slope and we want to find B. So let's start with B. Where does the line cross the y-axis? So put a point where they meet. The line meets the y-axis. So notice that this is 0 up here, right? Remember I said if we go below 0, what's happening? It becomes negative. So this is a negative, and we only went down 1. So -1. Okay, so we've got B. Now we're going to work on the slope. To find the slope, we need another perfect point. So we're looking for where does it meet perfectly in a corner. Here's one. So I'm putting another dot. And now I need to find the rise over the run. So we're going to go up to meet it. How many are we going up? 1, 2, 3. So 3 on the top. And then how far do we have to go over to get to the dot? 1. The 1 at the bottom. So our slope is 3 over 1. But what do I know about numbers when I put them over 1? What is that really saying? Think about it. Remember we said fractions are division problems, right? 3 divided by 1 is just 3. So remember when we have a 1 on the bottom, it's more correct to write it as a whole number 3. So don't keep this part. If the 1 is on the bottom, just write it as a whole number. So our slope is equal to +3. Okay, here's another. Looking for slope and for B. So again, let's look for that B. Where does this line meet my y-axis? Here. Go back to your origin. How far up did you go? 1. So that's +1. And now to find the slope, we need another perfect point. So we're going to follow this line until we find a perfect point right here and put a dot. And again, we're going to use our rise over run to write our fraction. So we're going to count how many boxes do we need to go up. 1, 2, 3. So 3 is going to go on the top of the fraction. And then how far do we have to run over? 1, 2, 3, 4. We ran over 4. So here's our slope, 3 out of 4.